everyone, welcome to the Ziobel Studio Buzz podcast, episode 62. My name is Doug and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in the beautiful desert of New Mexico. I hope this finds you well. I am kind of like a little bit melting right now, but I have my fan going next to me and I hope it's not going to be too noisy for you. But I wanted to be out in my dye studio to have a little peace and quiet for myself to record here, and I hope this is going to work out. There hasn't been too much knitting in my house because no, it's not true. I have been knitting. I have just been quite uncommonly monogamous. A monogamous knitter in the past 2 weeks, but I'll tell you everything about it as we chat. I have finished the first sock of this pair, which is, and the yarn I got this in a D-stash from Ravelry, and seriously, lucky me. I was hunting for BFL. Blueface Leicester is a sheep race, and there are after I just heard of sock yarn with BFL, I thought, let's see if I find something in a D-stash on Ravelry. I don't know, you can go into yarns and do a search for that, and then you can look in stashes and you can look for D-stash if someone does D-stashes. And I found this was one of the yarns that I found, and I was super excited. I got a good price on it, but most of all, I just love Laura. I love how Laura dyes, or how she used to dye. And excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, where was I? Laura, amazing dyer, sadly doesn't dye anymore and doesn't do podcasts anymore apparently, and she's definitely missed. I find this incredibly wonderful. I mean, it's like, I would never dye self-striping. I did it once. It's just too much. And not alone self-striping, but look also how the beautiful variation in the different colors. So gorgeous. Yeah, love it. So that's sock number 2. Not too much more to go until these are done, and they are in this Ziobel's bag. And I'm sure they will be done fairly soon. But the main thing that I focused on, because I just enjoyed it so very much and I didn't want to put it down because I got close to the end and I thought this needs to be done, and that is my Madame Papillon shawl. And it has gathered some plant material from the floor. It is done. I love the shape of this. I love that it's not too deep, and still at the same time it's wide, and I love the mesh, the different design elements. And if you have seen this, or if you have looked at the pattern and you think about making your own, you may have noticed, hold on, oh yeah, wait, doesn't it end here? And yes, it would end here. And I mentioned this last time that I had 2 skeins of the yarn, and I just dropped my little leftover ball, which is a maximum of 10 grams, I would guess. So I really wanted to use it up, and I was really successful. And so I wanted to use up all my yarn, but on the other hand, I also wanted to make the shawl a little bit larger than I would have gotten if I hadn't added more, because I changed something. I changed the needle size. The designer tells you to use 5mm needles, which I didn't want to do because I wanted a more closed fabric in these stockinette sections. So I wanted a good contrast between stockinette and those lacy mesh areas. It was a very intuitive thing to make it larger. So it would have ended here. So it went outside. So I just reversed my decreases and yarn overs to come together, and then I reversed them again. However, I ran into a problem because for some reason, and don't ask me why, because I just couldn't figure it out and it wasn't important enough. I was just super glad that I realized it, because if I had not realized it early enough, it would have been a disaster. Look at this. So the middle, I marked here every middle of each stockinette section above the tip down here, because of course when I make my 2 togethers and yarn overs, I want to end up with a tip exactly above this. And I don't know how it happened that it was off. So in some areas I have like 2 of these lines, and on the other side it's just 1 line. It's so weird. Yeah. Like I said, I did not investigate how that happened. I just dealt with it with the stitch count, and next time you will see this blocked, and already you probably can tell that nobody will see that it's off in certain spots, but it would have been a lot more noticeable if these 2 tips would not have aligned. Yeah. So I'm gonna block these the next days, and then you will see it again when I record the next podcast. Very happy with it. I love the size also. Look at it. It's kind of, it's just it's probably still going to grow a little bit. You can see this on Ravelry, where I am paper dag, if you're interested. That's where I'm going to keep track of the skeins, how many skeins, and what I'll try. Oh no, one more thing. That's what I wanted to tell you. Yes, that would go in my project notes. I wanted to change the cast off edge. I tried what in the pattern suggested, and it was not, didn't feel right to me. I thought I want to try something different. Then I tried just the normal stretchy bind off where you knit 2 stitches and then you knit them together through the back loop. Thought that was going to be too tight. Then I just experimented, and what I ended up doing was I did 2, I think they're called slip stitches, but I didn't even use a crochet hook. So I just kind of knitted them with one needle. It's okay, I used my other hand, I used my index finger to help a little bit and hold the stitch on. It was no big deal. So I did 2 slip stitches, and then I knitted the next stitch, and then I knitted them together through the back loop. And that's what, and I tried with 3 slip stitch and stitches, and with 1 slip stitch, and one was too tight, the other one too loosey goosey, and I thought the 2 was perfect. I think it's going to give me just the right stretch for blocking this edge. Yep. That was a big change another big change that I made up. And then I have also been spinning. I believe I showed you last time this little sample skein that I have since weighed and I measured my yardage, and I have no idea what happened with my little note before I put it on there. I don't know. It's definitely close to an ounce, 0.9 ounces, I think. So about 25 grams probably. And I like the weight of it, and I like the feel of it. And so I experimented a little bit more with my bat making. So I carded a few more bats and blended some more colors. So this is what is on the wheel right now. I do 2-ply usually, and this is my 1 part of the 2-ply. I didn't spin more. It was again just 1. I think this one was 1 bat, and now I'm doing 2 bats because I tried adding the green that I showed you last time that I wanted to use to make some stone yarn inspired by my favorite boulder on the trails close to us here. But the green, I thought the green would look awesome with this light brown. Oh, the leftover mini ball was in my skirt right here. Okay. So I tried to blend the green into this, but that green has little nubby things in it. Look, maybe you can see that. And it was just, I don't know, I didn't like that too much, so I did another run through the drum carder, and then again I got my yarn so different. It changed the character of the bat so much, and I thought, I don't know if I really want that. I think I would like the colors that go into it a little more distinct. So I want to do just 1 pass through the drum carder, but I will use this bat in combination with what I showed you on the bobbin, and the one on the bobbin doesn't have the green, but it won't matter because otherwise they're very similar, alpaca in it and Rambouillet, New Mexico Rambouillet, so that's going to be fine. Yeah, probably next time I'm going to have that done. But I also I portioned all the fibers for a larger batch of yarn, and I want to show you how I do that. So I started off with this alpaca, which came from a local our local fiber mill. So plain and simple, I grabbed the length of my table. I do not weigh because I don't mind the weight per bat being a little bit different, and also the different components of each bat. So I started off with this warm fawnish light brown alpaca, and then I knew I wanted to add some of the Rambouillet. It was a excuse me, was a braid that I had dyed. It's my New Mexican Rambouillet that I dyed in the light purple, minty green, and the light blue turquoise-ish color. So then I made the identical amount of sections of this to match the amount of the alpaca fiber. Then I thought, well, this is not quite enough for one bat. So I thought, what can I add? And I wanted some bits of a stronger purple and possibly also a pink. And I think this is also Rambouillet, and this may be some Corriedale. And I had more of this that I got in a destash where I do not know what the fiber content. It's super soft. It could be alpaca or some slightly greasy. Well, don't know. Yeah, and then I thought, well, this is still, it could use a little bit more, and then I decided to split up the Shetland wool that I showed you, which was also originally supposed to go into the stone, the boulder yarn. And I again split it up into equal amounts to add to each bat. I have my carding table set up in our bedroom, and my husband, bless his heart, has never complained. I take over this house with yarn, with knitting, there's yarn literally everywhere. And he is such a good sport about it. He never complains. I mean, right now, in the bedroom, by the table with the carder, the floor is covered with these little piles. They are the bundles that go into each bat. And then you're like, show us a bat, show us a bat. Yes, this is how one of these bats looks like. So I'm all the components have been carded, so just one pass through the drum carder, that's what I was going for, and that's what I got. So I start with the alpaca, then I put in I think after that I put in the Shetland, and then the color at the end. And when I spin, I usually strip it. I do 4 strips, and I spin this with a long backward draw, and it drafts beautifully. And I have, if you can imagine, split this in the middle and then again in half. So I have sections that are a little more purple, others that are a little more light blue, turquoise, and you cannot even see the Shetland really in the bat. Down here you can see. Oh, did my camera just stop? Hold on. No, it did not stop. Excuse me. I thought my camera had stopped. Sorry. So, yeah, I think the Shetland will add a little bit more woolly quality to the finished yarn. So that was my spinning, and I spun already half a bat of the one with the green, so that should be done by the next time we talk. And then I thought, gosh, I don't have a lot to show this time. What am I going to do? And then I thought, in the spirit of the basket that I showed you last time, I'm going to reveal the secrets of the drawer, because I have a drawer of doom, if you want to call it that, where I have my main yarn stash is really out here in the garage, and I reorganized the other day, and it's right here behind me somewhere, behind the curtain. But now I still always have things in a large drawer in the cabinet in our dining room. Yeah, I told you I'm taking over the house. And in that drawer I have yarns already paired up with patterns, and I couldn't have brought the whole drawer, but I just brought a few of those mind projects, because too much is boring for you. You don't only want to see yarn, you want to see what I knit. But I thought this is going to be fun to show you a few of those, and maybe that's also going to be an incentive for me to really hopefully get going and get started with some of these. I do want to continue working on the Marvelous, and a friend of mine, Lauren, who's in a book club with me. By the way, our book club meets right now every Monday with social distancing and face masks and all in the park here, and that is so wonderful. So we talk about knitting, we talk about other issues in the world, in America right now, and it's just so nice to see people in person. And so turns out that Lauren may also knit the Marvelous, which is a great incentive for me to pick that up again and continue working on that. But in the meantime, so many more ideas, and I'm especially in love with this one, which is a 100% cashmere yarn, and it's a vacation souvenir skein that I picked up in Venice a few years ago, and it's a lace yarn that has a yardage of 770 yards for a 50-gram skein, and I can't wait to get started with this. As soon as I pulled it out, I thought, what a great color for summer, right? And then what's next? Oh yes, and that's the only one that has no pattern, because actually I thought I was going to make the bark lines with this, but I think I'm going to have to really pick a lace pattern, lace shawl pattern. And also, I just finished the bark lines, and it required a little bit more yardage, so this one wouldn't have been enough. Next is my soon-to-be rose plank, or whenever it's going to happen. This beauty is called Rose Plank, and I purchased the yarn at my local yarn store, and gosh, I wish you could touch this. It is it a 100%? Let me see. 75% alpaca, 25 polyamide. Yes. 100 grams with 460 yards. So I got enough here for my shawl. Just gotta do it. And then this one is funny. I'm sorry. All these are in Ziploc bags to keep our little flying friends away, because I feel like this house has so much wool and yarn that it would be a moth magnet, which nobody wants. So stuff is in bins, stored in bins, in plastic bins, in project bags, what I'm working on, and otherwise in Ziploc bags. And I plan to make the Susu with this amazing yarn. And way back when I purchased this, the designer, I want to show you the right way. The designer, I had bought the pattern ahead of time, and then Nora Gone was in Albuquerque, and there was a little gathering at the yarn store, and I had her sign the pattern, and she helped me pick the yarn. I was kind of like, there were two options, and she helped me make the decision, and I think this is going to be a great color for me, dark. Yeah. The funny thing, and that's why I was laughing about this, is that I took this yarn, the whole bag, to Germany 2 years ago, and I didn't touch it, and I just brought all the whole sweaters quantity back home, because who am I kidding? I'm shopping in Germany. I'm buying more yarn. Yeah, that's what I did, and then I made stuff with the yarn that I bought in Germany. So yeah, but you have to be ready for possibly being stuck at the airport for 2 weeks, where you would run out of yarn had you not packed several sweaters quantities, right? I can laugh about myself, which reminds me, I got the sweetest comments last time after the last podcast. I hope the sound is going to be better this time. I have no idea what caused the problem last time, but thank you so much for your comments. I loved reading them, and it makes me feel very connected to you out there, so thank you for that. Okay, next mind work in progress is the Scarpa cardigan. I had purchased the yarn for this when we visited the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival 2 years ago, and I didn't buy this at the festival, but the yarn for it, but at a trunk show at the super cool yarn store in Frederick. And there were so many indie dyers. I'm telling you, it was so overwhelming. You wanted to buy everything, and it was really hard for me to make a decision. In the end, I purchased the right amount in this colorway. One ball is already wound, and then this is how it looks like in the skein. Yes, it is very much like my beekeeper's daughter. What was I thinking? I was just loving the yellow. My love affair with yellow had already started. And this is from Nice and Knit. And I ended up buying mohair, would you believe it, at the festival itself to go with this. And I think it's going to go into an I-cord for the cardigan. I have to reread. I haven't looked at the pattern in a long time, but the little mohair mini is from Neighborhood Fiber Company, and this is very special yarn because it's 60% kid mohair, so it's good, good high quality mohair. It's not it's really, well, let's put it this way. If I had to use a mohair, this would be it, because it has 40% silk, not just 20, but 40. 350 yards per ounce of yarn. Yeah, so that, oh gosh, need more time to knit, and I only knit in the evenings. Rarely that I really sit down during the day to knit. But yeah, what can you do? Gotta move and cannot just sit still all the time. So the other project of the future is the Honeycomb Shawl by Kirsten Kapoor. And the cool thing is that you must know that I saw this shawl at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival at the booth of Miss Babs, and I fell in love with this shawl, and I knew I was going to have to make it. And so I shopped yarn for it, but my solid color I did not find at the Miss Babs booth, but I'll show you what I grabbed there. Oh, sorry, stretch. So these are the 3 skeins that I got at Miss Babs, and this is Soul Food. I don't know if anybody's interested. This is Utopia, and this one is Exotic Spices. Bit of neon there. And I needed a solid color, which I ended up finding at Marigold Gens. And you can see that it is absolutely, utterly perfect with these yarns. And the colorway is called Peanut Butter Fudge. It has 20% yak. It's insanely soft. Yes, I had forgotten about that. I probably knew that. Yeah, Jenny, I'm not sure if she dyes anymore. I haven't looked her up in a while. Marigold Jen, you probably all know her. Beautiful yarns. That was that. And then we already were at the end, and I brought the yarns that I finally put into the shop, because I told you yarns would go into the shop last time. I don't know if you were interested. I am very sorry about that, because I really struggled with the names for the new bases, and specifically, well, I told you about the alpaca blend, the fuzzy Suri alpaca. That has a name, but it's summer, so I'm not making it a priority to put it in the shop. But I now have the name. It's going to be called Velvet, just ultimate softness. That incorporates, the name incorporates the ultimate softness of that Suri alpaca silk blend. But I also needed a name for the new yarn, which is the 70 Superwash Merino, 20% silk and 10% cashmere. And that was really the hard one. You can see it here. I set aside for myself this skein, which looks like this in the shop. And this is how it looks like in the ball. And I have now named this Honeysuckle, which to me is so perfect. It's apparently a local flower, not here where we are. I haven't seen it, but the name in itself, I associate that with sweetness, of course, and with a flower name seemed very suitable to me. I didn't just want to name it Lux or Luxury Yarn or something like that. Just it needed a name that comes with all the beautiful associations, and that it does for me. So I hope you're gonna like it. And like I said, this is this. And I'm going to go through them a little bit quick because I never want to bore you, but it's always a little bit nicer for you if you want to purchase yarn to see it in the camera. It's usually, it shows so much better than in a photo. So let's just go through them and so you get the idea. So we have this green variations, lots of green variations on Sundancer. This is a one of a kind, which I name Lucky Dog. Then they're always Lucky Dog, one of a kind, if they're not a standard colorway. The yellow here was Craving the Light. This one is, yes, Open the Door. A lot of new colorways, and sometimes I need to make sure I'm giving you the right name. This one you may recognize, and yes, I have Sandia back in stock. So this one is The Beekeeper in the Woods. And this is, yes, I got the idea to bring some Christmas colors in July, and this is The Beekeeper's Christmas on Sandia. 2 skeins of the Alpaca Blend in the minty green in the shop, and 1 speckled one that would be awesome to combine. More Sandia, yes, another fun new one that is called Cheeky Bikini. That's the thing right now with the young women. And then this is Morning Glory. I have a giant Morning Glory plant. I mean, several plants in a huge pot in my garden. Do you think this thing would bloom? I am waiting for the flowers. And similar but different, a one-of-a-kind Lucky Dog, also on Sandia. Then the same colorway that will go into my Marvelous More Than a Woman on Dreamcatcher. The other one of the Craving the Light. New colorway, Sunday Vibes Sugarloaf, back in stock. And here is, I want to call it Christmas in July, but it's The Beekeeper's Christmas on Taos. Great for socks. And here is Cheeky Bikini on Sundancer. Beautiful Mess Inside on Taos would, I bet, make fantastic socks. And the last of the Lila Love is also now in the shop. And this is the skein that I found last time when I was opening a bag, and I said, oh, that's going to go in the shop. This is a one of a kind. This is not yet in the shop, but will come soon. It's a very manly new colorway called Homeboy on Taos, and this one has the obvious name, Put Your Shades On, because it's so incredibly bright. I am currently looking for a sweater pattern that I like for this. I have to have a sweater for this, probably half sleeve or 3/4. And yeah, I can't wait. I haven't found the right thing yet. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and I dyed plenty. It's just that some more, the other yarns I still have to photograph and put in the shop. All right. And my battery screams at me again. Okay, my battery is getting weaker and weaker. So I will say my goodbyes now. Again, thank you for being here with me, for spending time with me. And I hope you are all well, happy and healthy, and enjoy the projects that you are working on. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again in about 2 weeks. Happy knitting!